Hey, boys! Look what I got here!
Hey, where are the white women at?
Man, who I sleep with is my own personal business.
Oh, no, man, no. Who you sleep with? The first face you see in the morning is very significant, man. That's where you get your energy from. It's your mirror, Booker. That is your mirror. Can you dig it? Now, man, you ought to be getting your black thing together instead of going around sleeping with the enemy, huh?
All of a sudden, you attacked me.
Miss Blanche, I never
Hush
done...
your mouth. This is my story. You attacked me. You raped me. Now, when Master Hammond comes home, well, I gotta tell him. I gotta tell him what you done.
Well, Denham, the airplane's got him. Oh, no. It wasn't the airplanes. It was beauty killed the beast. Beauty killed the beast.
Hey, everybody, this is Mike, and I'm with
Charles Woods.
And we've got a great topic for you today on Talking Black with Charles Woods. What is this one called, Charles? I'm not saying it.
Well, the title is The White Woman, the Black Man's Kryptonite.
Okay, and why? What do you mean by black man's kryptonite, Charles?
Well, kryptonite, we know, if you're familiar with the story of Superman, Superman is, he is super powerful, but he has a weakness, and that's kryptonite. That can bring him down. That can kill him. That can destroy him. They say, yeah, them guys, they're bound to get in trouble messing with them white women. Why don't they stay with their own kind?
Does it make any difference?
Out here, yes. But if I were to walk in with you, or a girl like you as my wife...
Do you care what stupid and prejudiced people think?
You've never had to fight stupidity or prejudice. Besides, I'd be a fool.
Why?
Because it would be inevitable.
What would be?
That night that she'd forget herself and call me...
I wanted to use the title to pretty much elaborate on something I introduced when I discussed black and white sex, the 3D effect in motion pictures. And when I spoke about the 3Ds, my analysis of motion pictures that deal with interracial intimacy, I always found there was this consistent pattern that you would see three basic components. There was denigration, devastation, and destruction. Denigration is when they would blacken or disparage the white character, either physically or by reputation. The white character who would be involved romantically with the black, there was something they wanted to project as not being virtuous about this person, something criminal about this person, where they could make it okay to have this white person in a relationship with a black. Once they got into this relationship, then I saw another pattern, which is what I call devastation. The romance could never really be consummated or could never really be enjoyed because the pairing is what I call a calamitous coupling. The pairing would cause a lot of discord. A lot of people would be angry. Blacks would be upset with the blacks involved. Whites would be upset with the whites involved. So you would have this devastating circumstance. The environment would be fraught with all kind of hostility and discord. And then finally, which this Kryptonite piece deals with, is to show our viewers that in a number of motion pictures, in particular, when the black person involved in this relationship was a black man, oftentimes the relationship would end tragically. The black would be killed, the black man would be killed. Sometimes, in rare instances, you would have the black man and his white lover, they would be killed. So the Kryptonite thing is getting into this relationship, especially in a context of white supremacy, where the relationship, especially with black men involved with white women romantically, has always been frowned upon by a lot of the extremists, the white nationalists. And so just entering into this relationship, you're courting danger. You're asking for trouble.
My brother!
Where do we start in this discussion?
There is one key film you have to begin with, and that's D.W. Griffith's The Birth of a Nation, released in 1915. This film started a race film industry in response to the Southern Negrophobia imagery that Griffith put into this film, which was based on Thomas Dixon's The Klansman, which was also called The Leopard Spots. This film is a polemic that deals with Negrophobia like nothing else has ever been made before it or since. The one we're discussing tonight is the image of the black beast, where they introduced the black man fiending, desirous of having sexual relations, conjugal relations, however you want to call it, with the standard of beauty, the golden child, the white woman. The character of Flora, in her attempt not to be defiled by this black man, she says, stay away, or I'll jump off this cliff, which she does. She doesn't kill herself immediately, but it ends in her tragic death. But this set up, the way it was presented, it set up the rationale for white vengeance, retribution, to go after Gus or any other black man who wanted to defile, to mongrelize the race, the white race, with his bestiality. This set up the heroic entrance, and as our one-time president of the United States said, the great Ku Klux Klan. And it's interesting, he said it in his history book, the great Ku Klux Klan. The Birth of a Nation created that rationale where the Ku Klux Klan was promoted in a heroic light. What we see in motion pictures has a way, the way it's been presented, it has a way of impacting how we think in general. Film is used to shape our attitudes, to influence our opinions, and it's another way to continue to program and indoctrinate us and condition us to accept certain things. And one of the dangerous things is that we're in a society that has made the white woman the standard of beauty, and this prize, this thing that having her is like the utmost.
What's that?
He says, look at the golden woman.
Gamma. Table Marlum Nahi.
Wants to buy her.
Senecita Marlum Articadia. Marlum Apacano.
He's offering to trade 6 of his women for Anne.
Some people feel King Kong was an allegory or a metaphor of Jack Johnson, but a key thing to recognize in King Kong is where I show there's this contrivance that just doesn't begin and end with King Kong, but it's evident in a later film where you have a black man and a white woman involved. And so I selected some films to make my point. But King Kong, 1933. Then from 33, we can go a little further ahead and we can deal with 1966 is an interesting film. I don't think a lot of people, Mike, have seen Leroy Jones, who became Amari Baraka. I don't think they've seen his film, Dutchman.
Say man, lover! What are you? Angry about anything? I say something wrong?
Everything you say is wrong. That's what makes you so attractive. Ha.
What Leroy Jones wanted to do with Dutchman is to show that the white woman has been used to help keep blacks from achieving liberation. It's a way to bring them down sexually, you know, to make them lose their cool, forget themselves. If I may, as I told one of the viewers, where the thinking process goes out the window. Throughout history, we've been told that we've always had the expression where the little head controls the big head. And sexually, men, not just black men, but men, how many men have been brought down because of sex? So Dutchman, we have this Lulu character who goes around and she makes victims of black men. She that was her role, and that's what that was the point of the Dutchman as a play, and the polemic that Leroy Jones gave us with that production. 1969, a film also not many people have seen. A lot of our viewers probably haven't seen. It's never been released on DVD. It may be the only way people could see it. It doesn't even air much on television. And that's The Lost Man with Sidney Poitier. And that's in 1969. And interestingly enough, the white actress who plays his lover happens to be Joanna Shimkus, whom he fell in love with during the making of the film. And they're still together to this day.
I need to be needed. That's where it's at with me. What about you? I've been expecting fireworks from you, and now it looks like you're just going to steal quietly away. Do you enjoy being a tall, dark secret?
And in Lost Man, death happens to not just the black man, but the white woman as well. But getting into the 70s, the person who epitomized black masculinity on the screen is none other than Jim Brown. And Jim Brown, I mean, when we compare the lovemaking that Jim Brown was allowed to do with with white actresses. Nothing tops it. I mean, the big film he did was with Raquel Welch, who was the hottest thing of her day when they did 100 Rifles together. But there's a film in 1970 when he does a film called The Grasshopper.
Excuse me a minute, I see someone I have to talk to. Hi, baby.
Hi.
He likes the white stuff, huh?
That's his wife. Nice girl. She's in the show.
I got a show up in my room she can be in.
The Grasshopper has two of the components: denigration.
I introduced him. Of course, I always sample the merchandise before I pass on it.
And destruction. After Jim Brown's Grasshopper, we can go to Slaughter, 1972. Here's a film that he did with Stella Stevens. There's a reason why I wanted to show some scenes from Slaughter, because Slaughter is something you can juxtapose with King Kong.
How was it? Huh? How was it? Black Ape teach you something? What did he teach you, huh? Come on, show me.
The character in King Kong is named Anne. They want her for King Kong. Here in Slaughter, the white man refers to the black man as an ape, and his girlfriend's name is Anne.
You want it, don't you?
What started with Birth of a Nation, where black men were presented as brutes, these things are so applicable to what we saw in the movies when they introduced black masculinity, but it was off the hook in blaxploitation. And blaxploitation, they could get away with a lot of raw sexuality because blaxploitation, for the most part, was popular with an urban audience, not just totally blacks, but an urban audience of some hip whites and a lot of blacks like myself, who I was happy to see it, as I mentioned in an earlier conversation, earlier discussion. I was happy to see it. Now, I know there was a lot of negativity in it that can be analyzed. But the thing is, when you're a hungry person, you'll almost eat anything. We were hungry for these kind of images. When Mandingo came out and gave this different image of slavery, I think that's one of the reasons why it was so severely criticized. But what happened in Mandingo, it upset a lot of people because we didn't want to see our brothers and sisters being killed and whatnot. But blaxploitation, which was started by Melvin Van Peebles' Sweet Sweet Badass Song, what blaxploitation had as three basic components. You had the plan to stick it to the white man. You had the mixed couplings. That was that. And then the other thing was the music. But I want to enlarge on the revenge aspect, that component, because when we talk about the plan to stick it to the man, get whitey, some people call blaxploitation get whitey films. That's all these films are about, retribution and black vengeance. Eldridge Cleaver, he said, don't flatter yourself thinking that the black man is purely or intentionally solely after the white woman for aesthetic purposes. No, don't flatter yourself. A lot of it is for revolutionary feelings.
We're talking black with Charles Woods. Today's topic is the white woman, the black man's kryptonite.
My analysis of this imagery from a propagandistic perspective, from the way we've been programmed by film, there's a corollary. There's this projection, the projector, framed images are screened. The people who decide what we see are gatekeepers. They're doing the screening. They're doing the framing. And they're creating not representation of reality, especially a representation of us as a people, but it's a representation of us in an intentional way to show us based on not who we are, but a projection of how the dominant, so-called dominant society wants us to be seen. These images will come back to hurt us.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday at the lake.
Yes.
I just looked at the map and it said this map is fine to barbecue.
No, it's not.
It
for
does.
Charcoal. Not for charcoal.
Not a cut.
You can
Dude,
have
I just
a
sent it to you.
non-charcoal grill, but not a charcoal grill.
There is an African American man. I am in Central Park. He is recording me and threatening myself and my dog. And my... I'm sorry, I can't hear you either. I'm being threatened by a man in the ramble. Please send the cops immediately.
Please move, ma'am.
I can.
Okay.
Do you live here?
I'll re-answer that question. Excuse me.
I'm
Ma'am, stop
sorry.
touching me.
The keypad is right there.
I understand that, ma'am. But
You can film me. That's
okay,
fine.
I understand, ma'am, but you're blocking me. and I
Into
live here.
my building.
Okay, and
Okay.
it's my building as well, so I need you to get out my way.
Okay, what
Okay.
unit?
I don't need to tell you that information.
In conclusion, what I want to say is this. People can fall in love. Me personally, I'm not going to say I don't doubt that there are some people outside of our race who can genuinely love us. And we can genuinely love them. But I feel that if I pursue a woman, if a black woman pursues a white man, if my mind isn't my mind, where I see myself and people who look like me as beautiful, I don't want to chase something because of the status it can give me. This issue, if it's discussed honestly and it's analyzed from a social political perspective, it goes deeper than falling in love with someone. It goes at the heart, at the root of it, is where our heads are at. And it's very hard to overthrow the remnants of colonialism and imperialism. I don't need the misunderstanding that having the ability to have a white wife, it makes me feel better about myself. I'm not buying that. That's garbage for me. And that's what I feel these films, they engender this kind of feeling, this kind of belief system. And it's the one reason why we continue to be economically depressed, psychologically depressed, and as a so-called race behind the 8 ball.
Okay, well, thank you, Charles. Great presentation. We're going to reset the room, and then we're going to come back and take your calls if you can. This is the link to check in with us. If you want to join us live, make sure you have your camera on so we can see your face. I'm not picking anybody who I can't see their face, or if you want to just leave a comment in the chat, we will also address those as well. So stay tuned for part 2.